And welcome along, guys, to another episode of 420 News. I'm your show host, Martin Condon, and 420 News, guys, is brought to you by Martin's World. Hey, yeah, sorry about the delay there getting out to you guys. I spent a few extra minutes there trying to find me bloody hat. I don't know if you noticed, but haven't been able to find my hat there for the last since Wednesday's show. I think Monday was the last day I was wearing it, actually, if memory serves correct. I don't know where I bloody put things like, and that's not like me at all. Hope everybody is good out there. See the comments coming in already, guys. See Keaton, Casa das Dragas. Hope you're good, guys. Podge as well. What's happening, Podge? Says, hey, Martin. Hey, everyone. And hope you're high. I'm certainly not low anyway, Podge. That's for sure. But if that answers your question. So, guys, before we go any further into the show, I'd like to just take a second to thank the sponsors of today's show, and apologies there. Now this shouldn't have popped up. Boom. You know, in a second there, and I'll get this layout properly. Sorry, now, guys. Boom, we're back. This looks a bit better. Sorry, I was just having some issues here seeing some of the elements on my screen. There we go, perfect. So, as I was saying, today's news is sponsored by. Jeez, why is this still up there? Boom, there we go. For R420 supplies. R420.ie, guys, for all your smoking supply needs. Bongs, pipes, hoodies, rolling trays, you name it, these guys have got it. So check out their website, and if you're up in the area of Port Arlington, they're going to be opening the doors on the 17th of May along with the rest of the country. And yeah, get in there, check it out. And if you happen to be in store around 420, you'll be most likely hearing this voice. So much thanks again to the sponsors of today's show at r420.e, guys. Make sure to check them out. And yeah, thanks again. Another update there, guys, as well, and the day is bloody wrong on this. Jeez, I'm miles behind here. Today is day 14 of the challenge. So day 14 of the challenge, and we're still going strong, guys. I'll be going out finishing off the 14 kilometers this evening. So thanks again to everybody who has supported that fundraiser so far. I was just piled on the college work there for the last few weeks, and I'll be getting some interviews out to you guys there as well with some medical cannabis patients very soon. So again, much appreciated for all your support for the fundraiser for Ireland's Children's Hospice, where I'll be running 420 kilometres, and my daughter is cycling 420 kilometres over the next 15 days. We're almost halfway through. And Podge, you're a legend, man. Nice one for the super chat there, but much appreciated as always. So we'll drive on, guys, because the first bit of news I'd like to deal with you is kind of is on with that, the Children's Hospice, because these children in this story, they were aged 3 and 4, and they were above in what was a homeless hostel here in Ireland, and they managed to get their hands onto some cannabis jellies. Now, apparently in this situation, the jellies belonged to somebody else in the hostel, that they weren't belonged to the parents here. And this was at about 5 o'clock in the morning. These kids were rushed off to the hospital. I don't know what the crack was in this homeless hostel, like that the kids are up partying until 12, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, and then they managed to eat some jellies and get rushed off at 5. I know myself through the pharmacology of cannabis that upon eating it takes about maybe 45 minutes to maybe an hour and a half at most for the effects to start being felt. Well, that would lead me to believe that these kids had to have eaten those jellies sometime after 2 a.m. in the morning, for the effects then to be noticed at about 5 a.m. What's the situation there? Like, there's a lot of questions there in this situation. But again, I suppose the real danger here is that the kids ate an uncontrolled substance, a substance that came from unregulated market, much thanks to the prohibition of cannabis. So the prohibition of cannabis basically seen these kids get into what they thought was just jellies because there's no regulations around the types of packaging that these products can go into. So you'd be very easily misled as a young child to think that the packet of sour gummies, whatever they're called, the sour patch guys, you'd be easily mistaken, or even the Cali, or what are they actually called, Haribo, the sweets there being Calibro, very, very easily misled if you're a young child and you don't know any better. And again, the biggest danger here is that these kids ate an unknown substance. So when they arrived at the hospital, it's unknown what they actually ate. Even if they have the packaging, you can't really be assured that what's said on the packaging is actually what's in it. Because again, it's coming from an unregulated source. These packets can be bought on bloody Wish. Do you know what I mean? You can go on to Wish or Alibaba or any of these kind of websites and you're able to buy these packets, and then you can put whatever you want into it in your own home, and you can say, sell it out in the street then to the kids, because that's exactly what's happening under prohibition. There's fellas out there buying in thousands of these packets of sweets, and then they're putting their own sweets into it, and you think you're getting a product that's after being imported from maybe a legal market such as America. And in fact, actually, no, you're just getting a rip-off of that product here in Ireland because of prohibition. Quite often or not, these products are found to contain synthetic cannabinoids, which are far more dangerous than naturally occurring cannabinoids that are found in the plant cannabis. Again, so in this situation here, if we were in a regulated market, these kids would be much safer even if they had ingested the edible jellies, mainly because once they arrive into the emergency room, they're able to present the people in the emergency room with the information that's needed, such as the dose, the drug that was consumed, and these are all very important things to know when it comes with dealing with toxic substances, if you will. But yeah, they were really out in force in this one, out in the media. They really came out against it. Obviously, they love to be able to come out and say, oh, look at this now, look, the drugs and the kids, look, this is very bad. Let's go harder on them. It's not as if the drug dealers are actually out there trying to sell these things to the kids. Most of the kids can't even afford them. I can barely afford these jellies myself, in fairness. They're quite expensive at the moment. Prohibition is keeping them the price quite high. But it says here that the emergency services attended the scene and the children were taken to Temple Street Hospital, and no arrests have been made at this stage, and a person who is not related to the children is assisting the Gardai and Coolock with their inquiries. And in accordance with the agreed protocols, the Child and Family Agency TUSLA have been notified by An Garda Síochána. It says there, in its statement today, Gardai advised that it is an offence to cultivate, import, export, produce, supply and possess cannabis except in accordance with a ministerial licence. Bullshit, do you know what I mean? In a state like that's their statement. It's an offence to cultivate, import, export, produce. We already knew this. Do you actually think there's people out there who don't realise that cannabis is illegal? Seriously, what kind of rock would you have to be living under in order to believe that? What a waste of time that the Gardaí would waste their breath in such a statement to be released. Surely it would be more along their lines to be releasing a much more important statement that the war on drugs has failed, and it's high time now that the politicians did something so that our Gardaí can actually keep our streets safe from the criminals out there who do mean to do bad in our society, as opposed to these fucking artificial criminals. And that's what they are. They're artificial criminals created by a system that needs not be in place, a system of prohibition. Fucking terrorists is what our Gardaí are, and these judges, man, they're literally terrorising our nation with this prohibition, forcing their ideology upon us, and trying to make us conform to their ways, and they're damaging our society in a major way. And we really have to rise up against this, because I just can't accept waiting around for change to happen. We need to be, if you want to see change happen, you need to be a part of that change, and that's very much what I believe. But the Gardaí go on to say anyway in their waste of air statement that tetrahydrocannabinol, THC, is the principal psychoactive constituent of cannabis. Under the misuse of drugs legislation, products containing THC are strictly controlled and possession is unlawful except under licence. What a bloody robot whoever is putting out this statement, man. The Gardaí also referred to a warning issued by the Food and Safety Authority Ireland last month about what was described as the dangers associated with eating cannabis-infused sweets. And this was a warning that came out a couple of weeks ago, again, when more kids were being exposed to some of these edibles. And it came from this lady. And this lady here, like, has got some credentials to her name. More importantly, like, she's a doctor who holds a PhD in environmental toxicology from the University College Cork. So she should really, like, be up there now and educated about what's a toxic substance. But despite having, like, such credentials to her name, she still comes out with this absolute nonsense. So according to Dr. Pamela Byrne, the chief executive of the FSAI, THC is a toxic contaminant and should not be added to any foods. She says sweets containing cannabis components are being sold online or by other means. They are dangerous, particularly for young people and those with prior health conditions who may consume them unwittingly. We are warning consumers about the dangers of eating these sweets and cannabis products added. People should only ever buy food from reputable sources and be sure to check the food labels. THC is not classified as a food in the EU and is a controlled substance in Ireland, warned Dr. Byrne. She also went on to say that this new development is a sinister attempt to sell narcotics in the form of sweets, and those involved are obviously not concerned about the consequences of these products getting into the hands of vulnerable people like children who consume these products unwittingly to the detriment of their health, said Byrne. So, like, in this situation here, like, she's pointing out, you know, like, that the guys selling these things, you know, that they're obviously not concerned about the consequences. But what about the people selling prohibition? Are they not concerned about the consequences of prohibition, Dr. Byrne? Come on, Dr. Byrne, like, surely an educated lady such as yourself is able to see through this bullshit, that this prohibition is the factor causing the most danger to our kids out there when they consume these jellies, you know? Not all kids are going to consume these jellies, but some are going to experiment. And isn't it better that they experiment in a system where these drugs or these products are coming from a regulated source as opposed to the current situation where they're in a homeless hostel and it's some other neighbours in there, you know what I mean? And they don't even know where they're after getting it, you know? Those jellies could have been coated in Xanax or some shit like that, you know? And then you get some of the nonsense headlines then as well that go out there, you know, from journalists. This was an actual headline out there. Gardai to continue to probe kids consuming cannabis-infected jellies. Like that cannabis is like somehow infecting the jellies. Like it's growing within the jellies and it's infecting it. And good Lord, like it's trying to really paint it as this fucking malevolent force or something like that, you know what I mean? It's infecting the jellies, like it's actively infecting them, as opposed to, like, no, there's adults out there who would like to consume cannabis infused products, and they're going out and they're buying these cannabis infused jellies. That's what they're buying. They're buying cannabis infused jellies. Get the terminology correct. Unless it's fear-mongering that you're trying to achieve here with such a headline, Connor Trindle. Come on, lads. Like, in fairness, like, do you have any integrity out there at all? Do some proper journalism. In fairness, like, the war on drugs has failed. We need to see more articles coming out challenging the status quo, that this shit needs to change. These kids need to be protected, and these products need to be regulated. That's the only way we're going to do anything about it. Like, this war on drugs has failed. The prohibition it's not successful. I have cannabis right here, right now. Your war on drugs is a joke, in fairness, like, and you're putting all these kids in danger. Like, come on, like. I see loads of comments coming in there, guys. Much appreciated. What's happening out there, WRT Gunner? What is that? The and 420. What's happening? He's over there on Twitch, or maybe she's over there on Twitch. Black screen on Twitch, bro. Oh man, what a bummer. It's fine for me, trial loading. Yeah, just did sound. Excellent. Glad you worked that one out there, lads. Excellent, good stuff. Hope you're all enjoying the show, guys. And I see Paddy O'Sullivan's out there as well. Paddy saying here, seen on Virgin News yesterday, a fella saying that there is going to be a death next because of these THC jellies. Talk about scaremongering. Well, in fact, like, they're very much, well, could be a death very soon because of these jellies, but not because of the cannabis in them, but because of maybe some adulterated product, you know, some some idiot out there will get some brainwave of making jellies with too much of whatever synthetic compound they're mixing in with it, and somebody is going to have a very bad time, and they could be go into something like respiratory failure because of maybe one of these synthetic cannabinoids. But I'd imagine that's probably not the way in which that person talked about it. They're probably talking about, no, THC is going to kill somebody, even though actually yesterday on the show we talked about how a 65 kilo adult would need to ingest 8.5 kilos of THC in order to acquire what is the LD50 of THC. 8.5 kilos, like imagine trying to get that into you. In fairness, like, you know, that's a massive lump of THC, like, and that's THC, that's not cannabis. If you were to convert that into cannabis, well, let's say you've got 10% THC in your cannabis, well, you're going to need 85 kilos of cannabis in order to receive what is a lethal dose for 50% of the population of mice, I think it was in that study. But yeah. Right, Glenn McCarthy, what's happening? He says, how did you get on yesterday? I done 28 days for enough for 2 joints. Man, you got to do 28 days for 2 joints. Fuck's sake, lad. Oh man, sorry to hear that. Yesterday I bunked down out of court for my own safety because they weren't following the health and safety guidelines in place before COVID. So I've lodged a formal complaint now with the court services, and I'm not happy with how they handled it yesterday. So I've yet to see what's to come from that. I haven't heard back from them yet. So hopefully maybe next week I might have some news to be able to update you on there in that regard. But yeah, I bunked out of the court yesterday because it was jammed in there. There wasn't a single window open, and I felt like my life was at risk of contracting this deadly virus that we're all locked down because of. So yeah, that's my update on yesterday. But nice one all for the comments out there. Steve Mastawes as well says, I'd love to know how many of these kids consuming jellies are eating synthetic cannabinoids. Me too, man. I would really love to know that. I'd love to know maybe the strength of the jellies as well, as opposed to what's on the label of the package. All of this information would be very useful to get out there to people who consume these products. In terms of harm reduction, it'll be very good to know, you know, oh, these jellies that were seized by the revenue at the post service, well, we tested them. 10 of the packages says that they were 100% or 100 milligrams of THC. And actually we found some of them were 50 milligrams, others were 500 milligrams. You know what I mean? Like, this information to get out there to consumers to be, hey, look, these products we're seizing, like they're not what's actually on the package. You know, it's 10 times more than what it was. It's 5 times less than what it was. It's actually a synthetic version of the cannabinoid, and it's much more dangerous to you. But they don't get this information out there to us at all. You know, they'll continue to peddle their fear-mongering, their nonsense, excessive, their war on drugs, you know. Another job well done by the boys in blue, you know what I mean, or Gardai, serving our country proud. And really all they're doing is just propping up a failed war on drugs, empowering people like the Kinahans and all of those other nasty people out there. Shame on them, shame on the prohibitionists. Like, time for change. Like, really, guys, if you want to help our society, if you want to help our community, you would call for change to this silly prohibition to protect the kids out there who are getting their hands on these jellies still. So we'll drive on with the news, guys, and yeah, I see Irish saying there that drugs won the war on drugs. They certainly did, man. They smashed that war on drugs. The prohibitionists never stood a chance. Like, right out of the gate, man, they were miles ahead. Drugs fucking smashed them. Yeah, so we'll drive on with the news there, guys. I'll get back to your comments in a couple of minutes. Um, Monsieur Fudge, happy Friday. Nice one for the shout out. I tried smoking 85 kilos yesterday. Just woke up after 28 grams. There you go. Like, it's just not possible to be able to ingest that amount. Like, in fairness, like, not even Cheech and Chong could do that stuff, man. Snoop Dogg himself couldn't do that. Like, right. So we'll drive on, guys, because there was a man arrested after cannabis valued at €230,000 was seized in Limerick. So not a good day for the country if you're a cannabis consumer out there, because like over 10 kilos of cannabis was after being seized above Limerick. So that's 11.5 kilos in cannabis in total that would have been seized there for the seizure. But the Gardai from the Limerick Divisional Drugs Unit stopped and searched the car in Castle Troy area before 12:30 a.m. And during the course of the search, they discovered an estimated €200,000 worth of cannabis herb. The driver was arrested at the scene and brought to Henry Street Garda station, where he was detained under Section 2 of the Criminal Justice Act. And as part of the investigation, Gardai carried out a number of follow-up searches of Limerick City, and during the course of one search at a house on Hyde Road, a further 30 grand's worth of suspected cannabis herb was seized. No further arrests were made, and the drugs were sent to the Forensic Science Ireland for analysis. So again, like, what a waste of time and money here. More people being arrested, a man in his 60s, like, you know, pushing on in life, in fairness. Like, obviously what he was doing is illegal, but still, that's a problem for the prohibition, or for the politicians, the prohibitionists, to sort out. You know, it's not this man's fault that what he's doing is illegal. He's providing a service to his community. No, I'll get it. Like, you know, this guy could have been supporting the Kinahans, he could have been part of some fucking nasty organised crime gang. But again, if this was a legal, regulated product that he was able to maybe set up a shop, or maybe he might have been a person who could be growing it, who knows? But again, a man in his 60s, like, you know, to be getting caught with this amount of cannabis, like, what are they going to do? Lock him up for 10 or 14 years? Like how is he any threat to anybody? Like, I'd say something now if he was out there, you know, with a gun and a knife, and he was calling people up, you know, and enforcing a nasty thing, like, but he's just a 60-year-old man. He got caught with a pile of cannabis, so who knows what the situation was here. He mightn't have been the head honcho, he could have been just a fucking an old patsy in the operation, who knows, like. But this shit's gotta end, like, you know, people of all walks of life, like people in their 60s, people in their teens getting locked up here for cannabis, getting done for cannabis. This is a detriment to our society. Like, you know, there is no age bracket that's unaffected by this. It's everybody is affected by this. I was only saying to somebody a while ago, like, you know, it's since the 1990s was the earliest political party being established here in Ireland, fighting for cannabis legalisation that I'm aware of. 1990s. That's over 31 years ago. It was in 1990. I think it was a lecturer by the name of McCarthy and Olaf Terrelson as well. They set up the Cannabis Legalisation Party, I believe it was, back in 1990. And here we are 31 years later, still catching 60-year-olds and locking them up, you know. Waste of fucking time, like. This cannabis, because how much of it was destined for people out there who need it to alleviate the symptoms of a condition that's going untreated because of the ignorance that's out there in the medical profession with the prescription of cannabis. You know, the barriers that are there, that you have to get onto a specialist in order to get access to the ministerial license, because the medical cannabis access program, it's still not operational. I'm not aware of anybody yet who's gotten access through the medical cannabis access program. So it's still through the ministerial access program that people have to get access to cannabis, and most specialists, most consultants aren't applying for people. So still a hell of a lot of people are reliant on people like this man in his 60s. This man in his 60s, as I say, he was doing a fucking much better job for our society than these politicians are anyway. He was providing a much needed service in his community, so well done to this man, and shame on the prohibitionists. So we drive on, guys, because it's another sad day for the cannabis community, with over 300 grand's worth of cannabis being seized in Dublin. YouTube stream is offline, Martin. Balls, what's happening? What a balls out there. I don't know why that is going down. Nice one for the heads up there on the YouTube stream being down. Not too sure why that's happening. I'll have to figure out this shit. That's Streamlabs anyway causing me some issues. Not getting any feedback here on this side, like no dropped frames, all's going good. Streamlabs, you're getting a complaint later on. Nice one for the heads up anyway, guys, and apologies for things dropping off on YouTube. I'll have to get the stream back up there. I'll do an upload. I'll upload the version there afterwards, guys, so apologies. So this man anyway, above in Dublin, was arrested with 300 grand's worth of cannabis. So Gardai have arrested a man after the seizure of 300,000 worth of cannabis and €5,000 in cash in a search operation in North County Dublin. Yesterday, Gardai searched the house in the Lusk area as part of an ongoing investigation targeting local drug distribution networks. During the course of the search, 21 packages of cannabis herb were found, along with smaller amounts of cannabis resin and cocaine. Again, prohibition putting multiple drugs under the one roof being sold, so thereby enforcing or creating a gateway to other drugs for people who use maybe what is seen as softer drugs. But Gardaí also found packaging equipment and paraphernalia associated with the sale and supply of drugs. €5,000 in a case was also seized. A man in his early 40s was arrested and detained at Balbriggan Garda station. The drugs will be sent for analysis, and the investigations will continue. We're gonna waste of time here. Like, a pile of cannabis is going to be destroyed here. People being arrested, and meanwhile, this is all jobs that could be created. This is cannabis that there was resources put into to grow it, and we're just destroying that. Then there's many benefits that could be attained from this cannabis, but instead now it's just going to be destroyed. Getting shame of the prohibitionists who waste so much of our taxpayers' money fighting this failed fucking prohibition. In fairness, like, we're nowhere closer to keeping drugs from off the streets. We can't even keep them out of our bloody prisons. Like, end this prohibition once and for all and protect the people out there. Like, they deserve to be protected. We don't deserve to be faced with the dangers as we currently are. So we drive on, guys, because the next headline is going down to West Cork, where Ian Bailey gets 12 months for a road ban over drug driving. This was a case where Ian Bailey, who you might be aware of, Ian Bailey was accused of murdering the French actress Sophie de Toscan de Plantier, and he's been, they've never been able to prove that it's been him, and it seems now maybe that the cops had a bit of a chip on their shoulder around him, and they stopped him down in West Cork there at some stage last year, and they could smell alcohol coming from him. They breathalyzed him. He failed the breathalyzer, but when he got back to the station, he managed to pass the blood sample that was taken, but he failed on cannabis. So up in the court now, he was trying to fight it, basically saying that, hey, you shouldn't have been able to test for cannabis because you were only checking for alcohol. That's what I was being investigated for. So this reading now on cannabis, it should be null and void because I didn't fail. I wasn't tested for that at all. But unfortunately, he wasn't successful in that plea, and he's received now a 12-month road ban. But he's going appealing it, so he's still going to be able to keep his license once the appeal is successfully lodged. He's appealing it on the basis that, look, his car is a necessity for him in the area that he lives. He lives down in Skull, that if he was to have his car taken, it's going to make life incredibly difficult for him as he relies on it to get about. He lives in a very remote area of West Cork, and he needs to travel to and from the village of Skull to do shopping and all of those kind of things, I think that's just a bit of a shame in reality, really, because I think the cops are just out to get this guy now, basically, because they weren't able to prove that he murdered somebody. That was a mess of a case, really, and there's no picture of Ian Bailey down below from West Cork, and that was a real mess of a case. I don't know. The jury's still out, really, as to if he did it or not. I don't know. It seems that there's a lot more evidence there to suggest that maybe he actually didn't do it, and that there was an active effort there to maybe frame him. That's kind of how it's after being laid out in front of me, and I kind of believe that story in a certain sense. It's more plausible anyway than the evidence that was put before me as to this guy done it. That's the case of Ian Bailey anyway down in West Cork. A 12-month road ban, but he's going to appeal it now, so he'll keep his licence. He'll still be able to drive, but he'll have to go back up to court to argue his case. Let's hope he doesn't get Sean O'Donovan. So we drive on, guys, because there is another news story there where Gardai have seized over €1,000 of cannabis herb and brownies from an uninsured driver in Cork. And I'm just trying to get this headline. There it is. So the Gardaí seized €1,000 of cannabis herb and brownies from an uninsured driver in Cork. So this guy was out driving. It was a driver who was arrested by the Banning Gardaí on suspicion of drug driving, and he also had €1,000 of cannabis products seized from the vehicle. The Unit D at Banning Garda station, so Unit D, maybe the drugs unit, Unit D, at the Banning Garda station, stopped the car in Inishannon and said a spokesperson, the driver was uninsured and was arrested on suspicion of drug driving. After searching the car, the Gardaí found €1,000 of suspected cannabis herb and cannabis brownies, and a file is now being prepared for the DPP and investigations are ongoing. Well, there's an old picture of the brownies. What would you say they're like about maybe six doses of brownies, like six individual portions. And you can see on the photograph there to the left of the brownies is the it's a photograph of the bags of cannabis that they seized as well. They look like small little deal bags. It looks like it's already after being grinded as well. Like, so I wouldn't like to be buying those bags of cannabis by the looks of it. God only knows what's in his brownies as well. Like, if he's doing that to his cannabis when he's selling it, like, he's probably stinging out as well on how much cannabis he's putting into his brownies as well. Again, going for the needs, calling for the needs, or reinforcing the needs for regulation there. Because if this guy's at home just making up his own brownies and going out there selling them, like, people are in risk. Like, this guy, he probably doesn't even, like, he might not even know how to cook a brownie, out there poisoning people with undercooked brownies or something, I don't know. But again, like, it's a sad state of affairs that this young fella here in this situation. I can only imagine it's a young fella who got caught in this one. Silly boy going out there with no insurance as well, like, with all of these brownies. What were you thinking, man? In fairness, like. But yeah, hopefully you don't get too hard of a punishment there in that situation. Waste of time by our Gardai. Again, like, he has cannabis and brownies in his car. Like, who cares if these were safe or if these were a legal, regulated product? Well, it wouldn't be any different to him driving down the road with some alcohol in his car, as long as it's not open. As long as he's not actively consuming it, there shouldn't be any real issue there. But again, ignorance is going to prevail in this situation. And nice one for following there, Mr. Bucket. Appreciate the extra follows. So we drive on, guys, because the FSAI have issued a recall of hemp oil product. And that's actually the name of the product, hemp oil. So this product is being recalled due to unsafe THC levels. So apparently there's too much THC in them. And as part of my civic duties, guys, I'm going to take it upon myself now to work alongside the FSAI. So if you have any of these products out there and you would like to dispose of them, you can send them to myself. If you would like an address and where to send them, just drop me a message there through any of the social media channels. I will ensure that these products are safely disposed of and there will be no THC getting out there onto the market. I will ensure of that. That will be my civic duty. So, guys, again, I'm working with the FSCI in this one. Send all of these hemp oil products, if you got them, to me. I'll make sure they're safely disposed of. But again, like, more waste of taxpayers' money here, as the Food Safety Authority have issued a recall of what they're saying is a dangerous product. Again, this thing was probably over. It was probably over the limit by a small percentage, and now there's a massive recall of all the products off of the market. There's also a recall on it as it's an unauthorized novel food hemp extract. Mainly that it is CO2 extracted hemp, I would imagine. So there's a recall on it for those reasons as well. Although there's many products out there that are CO2 extracted that aren't getting recalled for that reason. But obviously, now that they found there's too much THC in the product, well, we're going to make an issue now of it being an unauthorized product under the Novel Foods Act, because of I believe the CO2 extraction is not an authorized way of extracting from foods, so it's seen as a novel process, I believe. But yeah, waste of time. Like, in fairness, like, again, the FSAI recalling this product. So the what's it called? Intention Premium Hemp Oil. All bottle sizes are being recalled due to unsafe levels of THC and an unauthorized novel food hemp extract containing CBD. All batches with all best before dates are being recalled. The FSCI outlined that hemp oil being recalled contained unsafe levels of Delta-9 THC based on European Food Safety Authority's acute reference dose. Distributors are being requested to recall the product from the market. Retailers are being requested to remove the products from sale and display a point a sale recall notice. So there you go again, like, more craziness out there. If you've got your hands on these products, guys, send them to me. I'll dispose of them safely. So we drive on, guys, and the final bit of news I have for you today is coming from up north and down south, where a man who took a Kinder Egg full of cannabis from his south side, his backside, and then he put it in his mouth up north. Hey, not a good way to be transitioning things from one bodily orifice to another. Certainly not in that orientation anyway, at least. Silly carry on. But this was a man who he obviously has problems, I would imagine, in this situation. This guy by the name of John Gardai was he was a man who had a kinder egg full of cannabis hidden inside him and has been jailed for 2 months. He's gotten 2 month jail sentence for what's gone on here in this. But he was said to have removed the confectionery capsule from his backside in a and put it in his mouth following arrest at a fast food restaurant. That was at a Subway, and where he was it's been expressed that he's believed to expose himself. So he was said that he was seen with his penis out inside the Subway. So the guy was drunk as well at the time, and he's actually got an ASBO from past cases where he's not allowed to be drunk at all, especially in public places. So he was in breach of his ASBO being drunk inside in the Subway. But upon arrest, he was brought back to the to the PSNI station, whatever they call it, the police station there above in the north, above in Belfast, and in there, then they said they believed that he was concealing something inside himself. So they sent him to the hospital to get x-rayed. And when he came back from the hospital, then the police observed him remove the Kinder Egg from his butt and place it in his mouth. And then a bit of a struggle ensued where they were trying to get the Kinder Egg from the guy's mouth, and he ended up kicking one of the cops in the mouth and everything. So he ended up getting a 2 month prison sentence anyway for this situation here. Man, horrible. Yuck, like seriously, like this is what people are willing to do. Like literally took a Kinder Egg, like a Kinder Surprise, like he took a Kinder Egg out of his butt and he put it in his mouth just to hide it. Like that's the lengths people are willing to go to hide cannabis from the authorities. Like, yuck, like man, no fucking way. Like in fairness, like not a hope would I be doing that, but maybe that's just me. I don't think I'm that desperate. But as I said, this guy, he's in his late 40s. He obviously has some mental health problems or something like that going on, like drunk inside in Subway with a Kinder Egg up your ass full of cannabis with your dick out. Like in fairness, like something's up. Like you ain't right at all, lad. And they're sending him now to prison for 2 months. Like in fairness, like the only place this guy needs to go is to a mental health asylum or something, like to give him a proper assessment. He's clearly not well at all, like. But look, that is it for today's 420 news, guys. And apologies for finishing on such a shit story. Apologies, bad pun. I'll get into your comments there, guys, in give me 2 seconds, and I'm just gonna blaze one up, guys. So a bit belated of a 420 celebration with you, but civil disobedience protests and all that. No 420 news is complete without one. And as well, guys, just to remind you before I do take a hit, Seth Rogen is on RTE Late Show this evening, so that should be an interesting one. I'll be very interested to see how it goes, and I'll give you my thoughts and opinions as to how I think it might go after this. So, as I was saying, Seth Rogen is on the Late Show this evening, and that should be a very interesting one. I seen a little piece a while ago, so it seems like it's a pre-recorded piece, which is very disheartening to me. Because I believe now that RT have the power to edit the piece. So it'll be very interesting to see what actually is said on it. If they focus just mainly on his acting career and his entertainment piece, or if they're actually going to explore the world of cannabis with Seth Rogen, as he's an entrepreneur in the field. Like he has his own cannabis business. He's been long dreaming of owning his own cannabis business. So I'd imagine he wanted to talk about it, and I hope he talked about it. And I hope it's going to be a good segment. I really do. Like if RT butcher this one, man, it's shame on him. Like, you know what I mean? And I've extended an invitation to Seth Rogen to come on here onto Martin's World, and maybe he'll be able to express himself in a more free way, I suppose, free from the fear of being edited afterwards. I don't do that shit, man. You know what I mean? I would have no reason to do that to Seth Rogen anyway, but I can see RT possibly doing it. Like Like I can't imagine Ryan Tuberty sitting there talking about Seth Rogen, about cannabis. I just can't see it happening at all. Like the little clip that they put up online, they were talking about Star Wars and Star Wars toys and shit like that. Like I'm just kind of like, okay, fair enough. Maybe they were talking about cannabis before this, and Seth was saying I love to play with my Star Wars toys because when I'm high, I don't know. But again, I'll be tuning in for that one anyway myself if I get the opportunity. But yeah, do check it out if you do as well. Podgy Donovan says if you did 1 year in jail, it will cost the state over 150k, which is crash to think of. 100%, man. I always thought it was just over 100,000, but if you're saying 150k, like that's an increase on what it was. And I always kind of was even saying it from the start of the pandemic. I would imagine the cost now of prisoners has increased because of maybe health safety measures they're putting in place in the prisons to curb the spread of the COVID. I would imagine so that could be the reason there why it's now 150k for 1 year in prison. Yeah. Paj also saying, think where you could use that money if it was if it was legalized. 100%, man. For every time you lock a person up for a year, like that's almost a family home there that could be built with that money. How much does it cost to build a family home? Like about 150k, 200k. If you take out the profit out of it, I couldn't imagine it being much more than that, really. Like, so you could build a home for every person you lock up for a year. So if there's a dealer out there who gets caught with a pile of cannabis and they're giving him a year, well, they're choosing to give that many year in prison over building a home for a homeless family out there. Think about it, like. Mr. Buckets, shitty internet ain't like in Twitch. Sorry to hear, guys. And apologies again about the YouTube link dropping, guys. I'm not too sure what's after happening there. That's the second time now, so that's unacceptable. I'm going to have to follow up on that and make sure it doesn't happen again. It seems all good on my side. I'm directly connected to my modem and shit like that, so the internet speed is good, no drop frames. It just seems to be on their end, I'd say. So we'll investigate that one. Monshore Fudge says, so if I get caught with a shitload of brownies, how much they gonna say in each hit? That's true actually as well. Like how are they valuing these edibles, how are they valuing it? Or do they have a valuation based on THC? But when they catch you with a brownie, like how are they going to know how much THC is in there, really? Like, are they actually testing it? I don't think they are. They're just testing for the presence, but not for the quantity. A quantitative test over a qualitative test, it would be a bit more expensive, I would imagine, and a bit more laborious, I would say, as well. To just do a simple qualitative test is probably as simple and cost pennies. Irish says, send me all the samples. No, they're coming to me. Was it good shit? I hope so. Onshore Fudge says, gotta be shitweed coming out coming out your ass. It's definitely going to be shitweed coming out from there, man. But you never know, like, you could be surprised. Get it? Kinder surprise. Woo! Anything is fits if you're brave enough. And I know people who were sneaking mobile phones into prisons up their ass, like, they were making money doing it. Horrible, like, I just couldn't think it. Like, this was the time of the 3310, the Nokia Blockia. uh, Lots of hashes smuggled inside people. That's coming in from Peter. Yeah, I'm definitely aware of that. All right. I used to always be worrying about that before. Do you know when you bite off a nudge for somebody, like you would just stop the thing. Fuck it, like really, like I don't think like the soap bars, like I can't see somebody sticking the soap bar up their butt. Like if you were getting some of the hash eggs now, all right, in fairness, like that was quality stuff. Like soap bar, not so quality, not worth sticking up your butt. I can't see somebody sticking that soap bar stuff up there, like, so we used to always be chomping nudges off of that stuff, like, but you would laugh and joke about it, like. Hi Irish is saying I don't even turn on RT. Yeah, you and me both, pal. It's state sponsored propaganda. That's all it is. As I say, I don't expect anything great to come out of this evening's segment with Seth Rogen. I would imagine if he talked about cannabis that it might have been even edited out. So let's see. Keith Griffin says, "Great news as always, Martin Bro. Keep her lit. Much appreciated, Keith man. Hope you're having. I hope you enjoyed it." Irish 1337 says, "It's RT. Of course they wouldn't. If they do, then fair play. But wouldn't hold my breath." Yeah, it seems that's the sentiment out there. Like people have no faith in RT at all. That's happening, Stephen, man. I see Stephen Garland out there as well, guys. Check out the Irish Canna Clinic .ie. They've got some great videos up there, very informative, especially the ones on the cannabis social clubs. Highly recommend going over checking the Irish Canna Clinic.ie if you haven't already done so, guys. But Stephen's saying arriving late today, but good to see you're still a free man. Yeah, a free man, and hopefully COVID free as well. Hi Irish says, fucking eating the brownies themselves. That's right. They probably have 6 in the photo, but they actually sees 12. The boys had a few cups of tea and a few brownies back at the station. Yeah, they do a taste test. Peter is saying 10-gram pellets of caramello. Yeah, those were the eggs, weren't they? The caramello stuff, like really good quality, like worth sticking up your bum. But let's just hope they really wrapped it well, like, you know, in fairness. But still, like, the thought of handling something that was stuffed up somebody's bum, it's not very appeasing, is it? Like, you know, it's not very appetizing. It's you know, you wouldn't like to be burning that stuff into your yogurt. Not really, like, you know. Teresa's saying here, RT state propaganda, no thanks. Yeah, that's my impression as well. RT state propaganda. Maybe if I get the opportunity, I might see if I can go live here on Martin's World this evening. I'll see if I can set it up where I can do the RT player and just go live for the Seth Rogen segment or something. We'll see. We'll see. I have a small birthday party there to head along to. Very small gathering at my mum's house later on as well. So we'll see if I can get back before the Late Show starts. But don't hold me to it. Like, just keep an eye out. See if you can get the notification. Hit that subscribe button, guys, if you haven't done so already, and you get the notification. The only thing I'd stick up my ass is the drug policy. Yeah, I see a comment came in when we were doing the night remembering Howard Mark. No, not Howard Marks. Yeah, the night we were doing remembering Howard Marks actually, and he quoted Howard Marks where he says, the only thing he wouldn't stick up his ass when it come, or yeah, the only thing he would stick up his ass were drugs. He said he never stick a dick up his ass or something like that, something of that sense. Like it was funny enough, like. But yeah, Podge is saying here it was a lovely smoke though. It was the shit, Podge, was it? Sorry. Uh, Russell's saying here if you'd like to share some of our discussion today about the Medical Cannabis Access Program, go ahead. Yeah, definitely. Maybe we might be able to sit down on someday actually together, Russell, and record something, maybe a discussion, just outlining your own situation. But I had the pleasure of meeting up with Russell today, guys, and Russell suffers from chronic pain because of a bike accident where he unfortunately collided with a lorry, because not in his own fault. It was caused because of a poorly parked car in a bloody cycle lane. But unfortunately, it left him with severe damage to his nerves, especially around his face and his jaw, because of the impact. And he suffers now with incredible pain. And he was telling me there today, you know, he's tried everything, like, in fairness, like, literally, he's tried everything, morphine, all of the drugs you can think of there to try to subdue the pain, just to alleviate it any bit. And in fairness, like, it was only when a friend suggested it to him that he try cannabis that he found out actually, yeah, cannabis worked and was beneficial for him and his condition. And since then, you know, even with his GP being sympathetic towards his case, he's still been unsuccessful to get the securing of a specialist in applying for the license. None of the specialists that he's seen will apply for the license at all. They kind of laugh at the idea, you know. But meanwhile, they're willing to use him as a guinea pig for all of these other drugs, which have been shown to be ineffective, and some of them actually much more damaging than cannabis could ever be. Some of the drugs he was telling me there, like, straight up, he was one of them, he was saying, like, in about 3 months' time, he'd break his back again because of the damage being done, caused by the drug that they were going to be making him take. Horrible, like, But yeah, like, Russell's just one of many people out there suffering because of the silly bloody prohibition that's there. Our government trying to force people to access cannabis through the medical cannabis access program, where they make it 3 bloody conditions. As Russell pointed out himself, and his buddies went doing some research into this, and they found that the 3 conditions that were listed in the medical cannabis access program were the 3 conditions that have the least amount of evidence there supporting the efficacious use of cannabis for it, Meaning that basically whoever designed the medical cannabis access program designed it to fail. They designed it that basically the population that was chosen is going to end up with a result whereby they can conclude that cannabis is ineffective. There's no real evidence. There's nothing here supporting to continue this program of medical cannabis access. That's what they were setting out to do. That's what it seems to be. And they were slow in doing it, you know what I mean? They were supposed to start this program 5 years ago. Here we are now, almost 3 years, they were supposed to start that program 3 years ago. Here we are 3 years on now, still no program, and apparently there's only going to be 2 years left of the program since it was promised like that. That's an awful shame. So again, yeah, I'd love to have Russell on, or anybody else out there who finds themselves in a very similar situation where you're suffering, you can get access to cannabis illegally and it's benefiting you, and your doctors, your specialists are unwilling to entertain the idea of applying for a license. If you'd like to come on, I would gladly share the mic here with you and extend the platform so you can get your story out there to a wider audience. That's what it's all about, guys. We're all in this together. Like, the prohibition of cannabis, like, that's the common factor here. Like, that's the common denominator of all of our issues. Whether you be a patient or whether you be a person being brought before the courts, such as myself. Like, that's where my problem lies in cannabis. If I can't get access to cannabis, I'm not going to be suffering in chronic pain at all. That's Russell's case. Like, horrible, man. The things I was told today, like, no patient should have to be going through this at all. None, like. So if you'd like to be able to come on the show, if you'd like to share your story, by all means do. That's kind of what the month-long charity is, our fundraiser is about as well, raising awareness around the need to access medical cannabis. And the common factor there, like, in the problem, is that the prohibition of cannabis prevents research, and it prevents access. It needs to be removed. And it prevents actual protection, and actually as well, protection of our kids from the drug dealers out there who are free to sell cannabis to them. So, yeah, nice one, guys. Everybody for tuning in there. Monsieur Fudge, fantastic today, Farton. Thanks. Irish as well. These lockdowns were hard, man. I'm good shape now, though. I'm doing a blog, going to be some transformation as a Crohn's patient. Yeah, Hi Irish is out there as well. I met with Hi Irish down back maybe about 6 or 7 months ago. Was the Hi Irish that we met up there for just for a little chat. And yeah, he suffers with Crohn's, and again, another person out there suffering without effective access to cannabis. Another person who's being used by the pharmaceutical companies and the doctors as a guinea pig, and being denied access to a plant-based medicine that he's going forward and saying, like, hey, come here, this stuff is helping me. Allow me to access it legally, and allow me maybe to contribute to the body of knowledge there as to how the stuff is helping people and how we're going to improve upon more effective dosing and application of cannabis medicines. But no, unfortunately, they're like, no, prohibition. There's not enough evidence here to support the use of cannabis, despite a person being there before them saying, hey, but I'm here, but why aren't you listening to me? This stuff is improving my quality of life. Do my thoughts or opinions not matter? And that's coming from a patient. Like, that's how these people are feeling. Like, it's very unfair. Like, it's very degrading too to be stuck in such a situation. He said, Irish says, I'm bigger than before. Nice, man. Keep that head up high. John O'Regan as well. Fuck, my laptop just had another whitey. Second-hand high for the laptop, huh? uh, right, so guys, I'm gonna sign off with those ones, and I'm gonna figure out why the YouTube stream dropped, and I'm gonna get it uploaded there again. So much appreciated everybody who's after stopping into the show today. Hope you enjoyed it, guys. I'll be back on Monday with more 420 news, guys. Have a safe weekend, guys, and stay blazed out there and keep her lit. Much love, guys, and peace. Up over the side. Peace.